Hi, I am Camille on William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this month we are back with month 11 of our Quilt Along. We are almost done, and we've had so much fun sewing along with you this year. So let's go ahead and get started on this month's block. So this month's block kind of combines some of the different techniques that we've been doing. We got a little bit of strip piecing, a little bit of half square triangles, but it's still a fun basic 9 patch. So let's go ahead and get this one sewn up. So don't forget, all of the instructions for the block are in the blog post, and that's going to include the cutting for the white fabric. So you want to run over there and grab that really quick and get all of your white fabric, and that's going to be for all 10 of the colors that you're going to sew up this month. So don't forget to check that out. The link is in the description below the video. Also, while you're on the blog, you can check out our shop and find your next fun modern quilting project. So a couple of tips that we just kind of want to go over for all the blocks that you're going to be working on. When you're cutting them out, we really do recommend you starch. We kind of talked about that briefly, starching them. If you starch your pieces, especially because we're dealing with a lot of bias edges and a lot of small blocks, it's going to help everything to kind of lay a little bit flatter, a little bit nicer. So we recommend starching, but always starch before you cut your pieces out, because starching can actually shrink your fabric. So make sure that you cut it out, you starch it, and then cut out all your different pieces that you need for the blocks. The second tip is we do want to make sure you've got a true 1/4 inch seam. Check your 1/4 inch seam on your machine. If it's too big, your blocks are going to end up a little bit small. So check that your 1/4 inch is a true 1/4 inch. We do have a video kind of going over that we'll link, so you can see that as well. And then we're going to recommend you use a scant for these blocks because they are small. Some of them have a lot of pieces. You can get you can lose some size there if you do a full. So we're going to recommend a scant 1/4 inch. And then as you are trimming things up, as you're cutting off dog ears, as you're trimming off, things that are sticking out, make sure that you're only trimming what's sticking out, that you aren't cutting into the block and making the block smaller. If you do, by the time you get to the end, you're going to find that you're, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch too small, and you're kind of now having to kind of struggle to stretch to make it work. So make sure that you're not cutting extra into the block. And then when you're pressing, also press, don't iron. We don't want to be stretching and distorting the fabric. So make sure that you're pressing it to keep everything as flat as possible. All right, so go ahead and grab your block 11 colors. These are the ones that are 6 by 10.5 inches. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cut a 1.5 inch strip off the long side. Then we're going to take that strip and we're going to cut it down into 2 5 by 1.5 inch strips. Now go ahead and set those aside. And now we're going to be cutting 2 at 3 1/4 inches square. So you can go ahead and just cut the first 3 1/4 inches off the piece, and then we'll trim it down to the square the other direction and make it 3 1/4 inches. And then do one more, just like that, 3 1/4 inches square. And then the final piece we need is one that is 2 1/2 inches square. So do the same thing. Just go ahead and cut a 2 1/2 inch strip. And then we're going to turn it and cut it 2 1/2 inches square. So we're going to start with our 5 inch strip. So we're just going to grab one white and one of our colored, and we're going to sew them together and then just repeat so that you'll have 2 sets. After we've ironed them, we're just going to come in and trim them down into 2 1/2 inch squares. I'm just going to go ahead and line my 15 inch, any of my lines up to make sure that it's lining up straight on that center seam. One cut, just double check that they are both 2 1/2. All right, we are good there. And then repeat with the second one. All right, now we're going to make our half square triangles. So take your 3 1/4 inch blocks, lay the white one on top of the color one, draw a line from corner to corner, and then sew on either side of that line. After we've sewn, we're going to cut it in half on the line and trim them to 2.5 inches. Now we're ready to lay our block out. And so our half square triangles are going to go in the corners. Then our strip pieced blocks are going to go on the sides. We're going to have the colored piece pointing out on all of those. And then we're going to have our colored square in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and sew these 3 together, sew these 3 together, and sew these 3 together. And again, I am going to nest my seam, so I'm going to iron them towards this block, towards these blocks, and then towards this block so that we can nest those seams. So our block is all done and ready to go. So don't forget, we are nearing the end. So if you want to finish by the end of the year, go back, make sure you're all caught up, make sure you have all of the blocks done so that next month we're ready to come in and make that final block and put it all together so that our quilt top will be done. If you don't finish by the end of the year, it's totally okay. If you have any questions, these videos aren't going anywhere, so you don't need to worry about them disappearing on you. They're going to stay where they're at. And if you have any questions, even if you're finishing it up after we're done, you can definitely let us know. So no stress. Quilting is not stressful. It's fun. If you have any questions, again, let us know. And also the instructions for cutting out the white and diagrams and all that are on the blog post. So you can find that in the description below. Also, while you're there, again, don't forget, we have lots of fun patterns and we've, new patterns that we've released throughout the year and different things that we're offering in our shop. So make sure to check that out. And we'll see you next time.